As the bombs rained down on the great cities of Britain during the Blitz, this backyard bunker became everyone's best friend. Yep, today we are talking about the Anderson Shelter. Now, the Anderson Shelter is an iconic image of wartime Britain. But where did it get its name? Well, the shelter was named after Sir John Anderson, who was in charge of the air raid precautions. The plan was to produce small, inexpensive shelters for the masses. And preparations began long before the outbreak of war, with the first Anderson shelter being built in a back garden in Islington, North London, on this day in 1939. Yep, that's right. 7 months before we actually went to war. This was to be the first of 3.5 million shelters that were built nationwide. So how were they made? Well, it was made from 6 curved sheets of corrugated galvanised steel that were bolted together at the top with steel plates at either end and along the sides. They were sunk 3 feet into the ground and covered with at least 18 inches of earth on top. People could put them together quite easily on their own. IKEA would have been so proud. They measured just shy of 2 metres long and were 1.35 metres wide, with the intention of accommodating 4 adults and 2 children. So who could have one then? Well, they were actually provided for free to low-income households and at a cost of £7 or £470 in today's money to people who earned a bit more. But here's the big question. Were they any good? Well, it depends what you mean by good. So, obviously they couldn't prevent a direct hit from a bomb, but they could withstand the effects of a 100-pound bomb falling 6 feet away. So, from that perspective, yeah, they were quite effective. But being buried under the ground, they were cold, they were dark, they were damp, they were liable to flooding, there was no soundproofing on them, so they were extremely noisy. They weren't very big, and sometimes you would be sharing with your neighbours. The toilet facilities consisted of a bucket in the corner. It wasn't very glamorous. A survey in 1940 found that 60% of people either worked nights or just slept in their own homes during air raids. Their logic was that if they were going to die anyway, they may as well do it in the comfort of their own home. 9% of people slept in public air raid shelters, 4% went to the underground stations, and only 27% of Londoners actually used Anderson shelters. I guess one of the big problems with them was that around 25% of Londoners didn't have access to a garden to put one in anyway, even if they had had one. Some say that in retrospect, the money would have been better spent on building larger public bomb shelters, as they'd done in Barcelona. Now, Barcelona suffered 2,500 casualties from 196 bombing raids. Meanwhile, Britain saw around 30,000 casualties in 71 bombing raids on London. But it's easy to say that in hindsight. Casualties would have undoubtedly been much higher were it not for those little shelters. There are some that survived and they're still around today, so if you know where any of them are, or if you've been to one, let us know, because I would love to go and visit one of them. But the government came round and they took all of the steel back at the end of the war, which is why a lot of them didn't survive. Some people paid and then they kept them as little sheds and things in their gardens. But thank you so much for watching. Why not subscribe? And I'll see you tomorrow.